So now we're going to move into our Cheers to the Ladies Who, where we shout out people doing dope shit. So, Joe, you went to a rally yesterday. Why don't you tell us about this little rally you was at?
Oh, it was a wonderful rally for the Democratic presidential candidate, Andrew Yang.
Tell us a little bit about Andrew.
Well, first of all, I don't like him just because he's Asian.
Let's clear the air right now.
Clear the air. There's more things.
Yeah.
Probably the smartest candidate as far as I'm concerned, and offers a vision that I can get behind. And I'm not a political guy.
Yeah.
I am not. I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
I do my part. But I'm very quiet about it.
Yeah.
But this guy, this Yang guy, is making me loud.
Yeah.
He's making me loud.
What about him? So, like, what are some of the things on his platforms that he, like, sort of talks about? Or if, like, there's, like, a main focus. Like, when people talk about Bernie, you know, and they try to, like, sort of exaggerate it, they're like, he basically is, like, trying to push some sort of socialism onto this country, which obviously is an exaggerated thing, but he's known for that. But what is, like, Andrew known for? What is the platform that he's running on?
He has he has a lot of policies that he's conjured up. He has about like 90, probably the most any candidate has, and very clear plans. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's not a politician at heart.
Gotcha.
He's a problem solver at heart. So he has a long list of policies, but the main one is the freedom dividend. Are you familiar with it?
I was gonna say I'm not familiar. What's that?
It is a rebranding of universal basic income. Have you heard of UBI, universal
I've heard.
basic
Yeah, I've heard
income?
some on it, but tell me a little more.
The idea, the idea about universal basic income, is that as a right of citizenship, your country owes you
X amount of dollars of a salary a year.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And there's some countries have done that. There's one state already in America that does that. Alaska.
I was gonna say, is it Alaska? Yeah.
Alaska does that for about like 37 years. They've done that, and that's a deep red state.
Right.
It was passed by a Republican governor.
Right.
So it's tried and true, I think.
Yeah.
So the freedom dividend, Andrew Yang's offer is $1,000 a month. When you turn 18, $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. No questions asked. It's not taxable. It's money for you to do whatever
that could
you
be
want
rent,
with it.
That could be groceries.
That's right.
Car payment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Car repair. And you can just let your imagination run wild with it.
And would this money would come from like tax dollars, I suppose, in general.
Yes, it would be value added tax, VAT tax, focused on the big technological companies, Netflix, Amazon, companies like that.
Gotcha.
Companies who currently pay $0 in federal tax.
And federal taxes, yeah. I was gonna say a lot of these companies don't even pay taxes. Like these big major companies. It's like, how do they get away with that? So it sounds like a way to sort of reclaim that money,
right?
Because it's like billions.
So what it is, it's like as a citizen, you're getting you're like a shareholder to the country,
right?
Whose main export is technology, and so for every Google search, for every Facebook ad, everybody gets a sliver of that.
Right. Interesting.
For every self-driving car mile, you know, it takes it back and brings it back to people. So
no, that's super cool. I don't know much. I don't know too much about his platform. There's been so many Dems that have come forward, you know, and announced their run for presidency that it's been like hard to keep up with everyone.
Yeah.
But I do know that there's a lot of enthusiasm behind him.
Absolutely, on the internet especially. I'm a big internet boy. A lot of free time.
Yeah.
and he there's a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of he's very memeable. If you just like look up hashtag Yang Gang,
the
Yang
memes,
Gang.
Can't imagine.
the memes are
The Yang
gold.
Gang got the hammer and the wrench. No, sorry.
Love
Looking
that.
awesome.
Awesome. So, you know, if you could like give a like quick like pitch to someone as to why they should vote for this guy. Why should we vote for Andrew Yang?
Well, without getting emotional, that'll get hard. That'll be hard. Well, I know a lot of people don't know me. They don't trust me, but trust me. I don't know. I was completely like captivated ever since I heard him on. He's been on various podcasts and interviews, and I've never seen a candidate bridging the gap between different sides of the left and right and identities. You read the comment sections.
Yeah.
You won't see a comment section that is so that is bringing people together.
Yeah.
You know, say what you want about comment sections, hell on earth for you know a lot of the internet.
Yeah.
But it's really he's really providing a vision that is that touches anybody. And, you know, $1,000 a month, Medicare for all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the optimistic side of things, and just imagine, you know, like, you know, I know, you know, there's hell in many corners of the world in America.
Yeah.
But you have to counter it with a vision.
Yeah.
With a where do you want to go?
Yeah.
And he's very clear-minded and focused and confident, and his thing is the numbers. He's a big math guy. He sells hats that says math on it. And the crowd chants math. PowerPoint. Like literally, like yesterday
hilarious.
at the rally, he's like, at the State of the Union address, you know, it's such a weird, like, creepy, like, form of theater, you know, like that we're forced to watch.
Yeah.
But he, you know, when he's going to deliver the State of the Union address, he'll show a PowerPoint of the progress that's been made.
Right.
You know,
right.
data driven.
Yeah, I was going to say
Optimism.
data-driven optics. you know?
Optimism.
Yeah, and so what are your thoughts then on, like, the Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and all these folks? I know for me it's been really interesting because I'm like, everybody has found what their edge is or what the thing is that makes them, like, votable, and it feels like that is giving them sort of energy to enter. But I wonder if we're being strategic, like, not to be like the devil's advocate of everything. Like, I'm glad that we have a lot of people running. That's what the country should be. We should have different voices who are up for grabs to sort of support. But I wonder about, it almost feels like clickbait, if that makes sense, the way that these people sort of come about. And after a while, like, there are voters who just are not trying to Google and, like, go to rallies and aren't going deep into the subculture. And look, I'm even calling it a subculture of, like, politics and understanding who we're voting for. So I do think that we run the risk with a lot of candidates of, like, for example, like with Andrew Yang, like, I don't know any, not even a bad thing, but, like, if it's just like, yeah, he's a math guy, and, like, so then people who are, like, into that are just going to believe that but not do their due diligence on the rest of the platform, then that scares me. Same with the Joe Bidens and the Bernie Sanders and the Kamala Harris. Listen, Kamala Harris is a woman of color. Like, I'm here for that really hard, but I don't know that means I want her to be the president of the United States. But then it also plays with the politics, like, emotionally of the voters, where it's like, but if I say that, is that fucked up? Like, is that me not supporting women of color in a time where I should just do it because we want the visibility? So I just think it's really interesting for me. So what are your thoughts on some of the other candidates, or, like, why you're not voting for them, or why they don't pique your interest as much?
A lot of candidates get the eye roll from me. They get the eye roll. And just, I don't know, check out, you know, Andrew Yang, how he just, I don't know, 20 minutes, and you'll see it's a different thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's a different way of communicating.
Yeah.
that kind of hits home.
Yeah.
And the numbers are showing, and they're growing for him. And I'm excited.
Cool. Very cool.
In more important news.
More important.
More important news.
No, I just thought it was interesting that on the same day that you were going to a rally for Andrew Yang, there was a band of Britney Spears fans protesting outside of City Hall in West Hollywood.
Really?
Because there's this giant conspiracy that she is being held against her will in this conservatorship at the mental health facility that she's been at. And there's this giant conspiracy that that her life was spiraling out of control and she wasn't taking the medications that she needed to be taking, and that her camp felt that if they didn't take control, she would be dead. And so, this whole thing was that she was doing this Vegas residency. They canceled it. Apparently, there's this conspiracy that her father was like, if you don't get it together, I'm going to cancel the show. And that was him doing that. But it also begs to ask the question, why is this girl under a conservatorship that is usually given to people who are completely incapacitated and unable to make decisions for themselves? She literally can't buy a Starbucks coffee without asking her father for permission. This has been on over 10 years. Since from 2008 to 2018. However, she's been able to go on world tours, have a multi-million-dollar residency, record albums, go on TV, do interviews. But she can't.
Something right there.
Exactly. So the Britney fans have created a hashtag called Free Britney, and they were protesting outside of City Hall, literally as you were at the Andrew Yang.
Right.
Is that on Andrew's platform? Because clearly...
Yo, Andrew, what you trying to do with...
How is Andrew going to support this Britney Spears, hostage situation we have going on? It's a very pressing issue in this nation. All right, so now we're going to move into our Tuta Loca
I don't know what he would do. But it'd be really funny. He's a really funny guy.
I look forward to looking into some of his stuff, actually. Getting to know him a little better. So we're going to move into our Tuta Loca Es, where we call motherfuckers out for doing the most. So there have been quite a few news stories circling back again that are demonstrating, how the value of Black lives just isn't at the stature that it needs to be at this nation. We had the case in Florida where the young man... was someone was getting arrested and he was sort of yelling at the cop. The cops pepper sprays him in the eye, knocks him down to the ground, beats his head into the concrete, and blows his face up, and it's somehow justifiable. It's caught on camera. The gentleman is just reassigned from his role. Then we also had down in Dallas.
There was a trans woman who was beaten horribly by a mob of guys, and it was all caught on camera. Which we really need to also discuss this culture of pulling out your camera and filming it and not actually doing something. But anyway, it was all caught on camera, and the only way that she was saved was because a group of women literally went in, pulled the guy off of her, and grabbed an arm, and dragged her off and stuff like that. And so there was an arrest made, but it was a mob of guys. It wasn't just one guy. It was several men.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in this case, it was Black men beating on a Black trans woman.
Right. And I mean, because the issue is so layered, right? It's within our community, but then also outside of our community. And Black churches are burning. Yes, Notre Dame, burned down, but so have several Black churches, and the way that they were able to raise millions of dollars just within hours of the fire, and the fact that Flint still hadn't had clean water at that point, and it seems the sort of highlighting of that for some reason, the timeliness of it just allowed for some changes to be happening finally in Flint. But it just sort of begs the question, have we did we pause the fact that Black lives need to matter a little more? I feel we haven't touched, the issue hasn't been on the high end of anyone's agenda again, and things are still happening, and like you said, there's a lot of recording happening, and so what we're looking at is like a way that we are able to now just have these things happen. They'll happen for a second, and then we just have these videos that exist, and it's like evergreen trauma. Like, it is now recorded and relived, but we don't go back to these victims. We don't go back to the scene of these crimes, and we don't really try to understand, is the community okay? Like, the things that we're witnessing happening sort of on the fly are pretty fucking traumatic. So, but we are not treating it like traumatic situations. Like, hey, fucking Katrina, there's still trauma from Katrina. I don't care how long ago that happened. There's still people whose lives suffered some severe trauma because of that, and we don't think about those people anymore. We don't. Like, you know what I mean? We're talking about Flint, and even Flint is like long overdue with help. And then what about the 10 other things that we just haven't recorded yet, or we haven't decided to tackle? So yeah, I don't know. It's just overwhelming, I think, at this point. Joe, I don't know how you...
Well, here's the thing with Andrew Yang. Imagine, like, $1,000 a month. A lot of people hear about the issues, right? And they sort of write it down. It's like, all right, I'm gonna think about that. Let's solve that. But they don't have enough energy to really do it, right? To really, because it takes a tremendous amount of energy. And on top of, like, even if you're living in a way that your own life energy is being sucked out, whether it's, you know, your work or school or just like even like a bad relationship, it sucks out energy. Like there's an infinite number of energy vampires out there. What's cool about Andrew Yang is, like, imagine $1,000 a month, how much energy you get back that you don't have to fight. You know, it's like he describes it as like getting the it's like a boot being lifted off your neck, you know, and once you get to like sort of a baseline, there's a psychological change that happens, you know, when you feel you don't have to fight for your life every day, every month. And so what happens is you start to focus that energy towards social issues and your communities. You don't have to fight for your just own survival.